Hello, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are watching this conversation, the Black Male Impact. And today we have with us Dr. Joseph Burt-Miller and your host, Richard A.
Morning.
Cross. And so before we get into the question, I'll share just a little about Dr. Burt-Miller. And Dr. Joseph Burt-Miller is a product of Mount Vernon, New York. He is an Air Force veteran and a Capella University graduate and a myriad of experience in IT and cybersecurity. Dr. Burt-Miller, welcome and thanks for joining us here at the Black Male Impact. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you taking the time to share with us and share your insight and start this conversation, as our goal is to inspire positive change. Do you want to share anything else about yourself before I get into the questions?
Sure. Yeah. Like I know you mentioned, yes, I'm from Mount Vernon, New York. Born in the Bronx, moved to Mount Vernon when I was the age of 4, and pretty much grew up there. So Mount Vernon has been my home. I did time in the Air Force. Did 4 years in the Air Force. Enjoyed it, honestly, and also got that, I would say, I guess, really first experience from high school, because my high school program had a junior ROTC program, and honestly, that has paid big dividends for me, till now. I even thank my mom still, because she was the one who dragged me to the desk to sign up for it, because later I learned, of course, that I think if you do at least 3 years of junior RTC in high school, it actually applies when you join the military.
Oh, wow.
And of course, you get paid according to your rank. So when you have that time, you leave basic training as a airman first class. So that's like 2 stripes, and again, that's more money as opposed to if you were airman basic, like that's no stripes, or just an airman, that's 1 stripe. So I still, think about those little I guess changes in history, or may have been little, or didn't really think of it much at the time, but it's played big dividends even up till now. So still thank my mom for that.
Well, that's right. Those early decisions sometimes
Correct.
really pay off and put us on the right track. That wasn't the case for me, but I realized that, especially people that I realized that went into the military early, they really appreciate the experience because it gives them a good foundation. Because,
Right.
Military in itself stands for leadership. So when you go in at that age, it really gives you a foundation, especially, you go in and have some good guidance around you. It really pays off in the long run. So now we're going to switch gear a little bit and get into the questions that we want to talk about. And my first question to you is, what's the mindset that it takes to make a positive impact?
I think it really one of discipline. I'd say you have to have you have to have a disciplined mindset. What I mean by that is you have to almost like making a promise to yourself as for what it is you want to do, what it is that you want to accomplish, and what those actions, how are they going to impact those around you. So whether we're single, married, or what have you, whether your family, spouse, how what I'm doing or what I'm about to embark on is going to impact them, parents, kids, spouse, whoever. How is this going to make me better? And once you flesh all those things out, and then you take the time to understand what it is you need to do, like, so those you have your big goals, and then I'd say even mini goals, because like those small steps they have to take to get to those main goals. And then, like I said, just make up your mind to do it, and understand why you're doing it, and maybe even who you're doing it for. But yeah, no, I'd say in order to, I guess, like I said, for that mindset that you want to have or whatever it is that you want to do. It has to be one of discipline, because there's so many things that could try to take you off course, or it could be easy. Something could come up to try to talk you out of it, or to try to have you go a different way, that go down a different path. And you have to be, like I said, you have to almost make a contract with yourself, a promise to yourself to say, I'm not going to get involved with those type of things, because it's not going to do any good for me. It's not going to get me closer to what I want to do. It's not going to help me to achieve the things I want to achieve. So yeah, so definitely discipline. A discipline mindset is one.
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective, because anything you want to achieve in life, discipline is important. You have to be disciplined and have a disciplined mind. And as you mentioned, it's like you're making a promise to yourself, because there are so many distractions, especially when it comes to us and the change that we want to make in the world, or in our community, or in our home. Being disciplined is important. So with being disciplined, my next question, I have a disciplined mind, but my next question to you is, what advice do you have for the men listening on how they can play a role in creating positive change?
I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed, that I'll even state that has helped me, is having mentors, having good mentors. So I would say one that we need to do is to give back, is to take someone, under your wing and show them it. And also, I think a lot of times we're always kind of we always had that question of like, if we could do it over again, what would you do? I think being in that mentorship capacity actually allows you to answer that question, because now when you have someone that you can teach and help and maybe guide them what they want to do, especially if they share similar, I guess, career goals as you. Maybe they may have seeked you out because they see you're in a position that they aspire to be in.
Yeah.
Which honestly I think makes the most sense too. If you are looking for a mentor, I think you should find someone that is in a position that you one day aspire to be in, because who else better to ask than the person that's in it? So
Yeah.
That would be also my advice if you're looking for a mentor. But no, I would say, yeah, definitely mentorship. I think we need a lot of that. I think we need that accountability person to meet with, to talk to, and to just give you the real, like, say, if this is what you want to do, you got to do X, Y, and Z. If you're not doing it, then you either get back on track, or stop, because you're not. You have to commit to the work, whatever it is you're trying to do. So yeah, mentorship, I feel, is a big. I'd say it's a big need. It's very high value, and I think that would help a lot of kids, because I think that there are a lot of like young, I would say young kids that kind of go through life and have no idea what they want to do, and then let's say they get all the way up to like high school, get ready to graduate, and they still don't know. And I think that's almost a shame, because that's time wasted, honestly. Now, if you had someone someone who's serving in that mentorship capacity to say you should be doing this, or connect with these people, or join this program, or do this, now you have more of a sense of purpose. You have a game plan, especially if your personality is not one to maybe to be that assertive, and that's okay. I always look at mentors almost as coaches. I always relate a lot of stuff to like sports, and so I have two mentors myself, and I always call them my coaches. Like they give me the game plan, they tell you what to do. We meet up, we go over what worked, what didn't work, what can I do better, and you have those check-ins, and like I said, you have that accountability. They both are in positions that I aspire to be in. So when I'm asking them questions, it's and the feedback that they give me is very valuable, because okay, this person is telling me they're telling me I'm on the right track, or they're telling me, I should be doing this, or change this, and when they give me that feedback, I'm like, I'm really taking it in, because okay, if they're taking the time to sit down with me and tell me what I need to do, then I'm gonna do it, because that's where I want to be too. I want to be in that position, and I'm trusting them to help guide me to get there. Of course, I need to do my part and do the work, but
That's right.
getting that valuable feedback is definitely helping me to progress and continue to grow. So yeah, mentorship is definitely a big thing, and I take that seriously too because I have two mentees of my own that I meet with regularly, and
Okay.
I just know the value of mentorship and how instrumental it could be, how instrumental it is. So I definitely take it seriously because honestly, they're almost really entrusting you with their career, or
Yeah.
shaping their career, or because if they're coming to you for advice, you should really take that seriously because that impacts bringing money into their household, their
Yeah.
career progression, what have you. So yeah, mentorship I feel is a big deal.
I will agree. Mentorship, we all need guidance. It doesn't matter how much we think we know,
Right.
we too need guidance. And as Black men, I think one way, as Dr. Burt-Miller said, for us to make a difference in our community, we now should, see ourselves as mentors, to help the next generation to realize what they can achieve. So that's a great and valid point in making a difference in our community as we go forward. And that ties into my next question. How can we as Black men help to change the narrative today? How do you see us and what can we do to change the narrative? Because yet there are Black men out here doing great, but we know that there are still some labels and stigmas that affects us. So how can we as Black men help to change the narrative, the old paradigm?
I will say I recall, like, for me, like growing up, like if you were perceived as smart, or let's say a nerd, like you would get that label of being a nerd, but it was really like a bad thing because you weren't cool, you weren't skipping class or whatnot, or that wasn't perceived as popular.
Okay.
Now it's almost as if the tables have turned in that sense because those same kids that were being made fun of, they're leading their own organizations, corporations, leading their own businesses. They're excelling very well. And those kids that were skipping class, they're not doing very well. Some may not even be with us to this day. So I think we need to reinforce that it's okay. Like if you're into reading books, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like if studying or science is your thing or whatever the case is, like don't we shouldn't make fun of that. We should be uplifting that. We should be encouraging that because what's the alternative? The alternative is to not do that, is to fall behind, is to fall by the wayside. And we should stop, I guess, popularizing or changing what we perceive to be as quote unquote cool, and really pay attention, give more attention to the things that actually matter. Learn about certain subjects, even certain things that are not being taught to us. At least for me coming up, hopefully that some curriculums are changing. I mean, I'd say one thing. I mean, learning how to balance a checkbook or doing things learn about investments, things like that. I feel, or even taking a step further, even learn about coding, computer code and stuff like that. I'd say I have two young boys. My oldest son, he's gonna be 13 at the end of this year, and I put him into a STEM program, I think, last summer, and learn about robotics and computer, pretty much computer science and stuff like that. And he's really into it. So he's almost like a little mini me because he's very into computing, and even up till now, I encourage him to sign up on Try Hack Me, and Try Hack Me is it's pretty much like it's a website where you can do computer labs and improve and refine your skills as it pertains to like cybersecurity, information security, what have you. And so he's doing that, and he's 12 right now, gonna be turning 13. And he's getting into that. So I feel like get into those subjects that we like, that are maybe different, or it should be encouraged. It should be praised. It shouldn't be looked at like, oh, you're a nerd. Well, a lot of these nerds are doing very well right now. How's it working out? So
Yeah, you know, you are right, to be honest, because I'm myself, I started as an athlete, right? And growing up,
mm,
being an athlete, you get more accolades as an athlete than when you do well academically. And I remember some time ago when I wrote a post talking about we need to highlight the black males who are doing well academically just as much as we do for athletes, because that will help to change the narrative. And that's what you just said. If you are smart, you are considered not cool or a nerd. But you,
mm,
as said, a lot of those nerds are doing well today. So it's what we choose to praise, or what we choose to edify, or what we choose to celebrate, that
right.
will become the norm. And that's a valid point. And that cannot be stressed too much, because, if we're going to get our young men, especially, that's coming behind us, to realize their greatness, we have to talk about it. We have to celebrate it, and we have to encourage it, if we're going to see changes within that space. And because we are great, and we just need sometimes that reinforcement and encouragement. And so I want to go into another question. What change do you want to see in general amongst Black men? I know you talk about the discipline. I know you talk about just edifying the greatness that we do. But what other change would you like to see in general amongst Black men?
I think a big change that I would like to see that is that I would say being okay with our emotions. There's one author that I follow. His name is Jason Wilson, and he wrote a great book. I think he's written another book since then, and I'm sorry that the name of the book
Well,
escapes
cry
me.
like me or something like
Oh
that.
yeah, cry like a man. Yes,
Cry like a
correct.
man. Yes.
Yeah, I man, I loved every page of that.
Oh, wow.
He talked. I know he's from Detroit. He had a lot of trauma growing up. I think he lost a family member growing up, and a lot of emotions that he had to bottle up because he couldn't express it because it would be perceived as him being soft or weak or whatnot. And while all the while that's really doing serious damage at the same time. And so not being able to express those emotions in a healthy and positive way can have damaging effects because we have to we've seen as men, especially as Black men, we had to take on this persona that we're Supermen
Yeah.
and that we could take on anything, and we cry. That, like I said, that shows a form of weakness, or it's a hit against our masculinity. And I believe that's something that we need to get away from, that because especially as for young kids coming up, it can have a very negative effect because it also will have not for themselves, but also their relationships,
Yeah.
whether their future spouses, partners, what have you, because they've never learned how to handle those emotions, those feelings in a very positive and healthy way. So yeah, I would say that to be more in touch with our emotions, to know that it's okay to cry, it's okay to feel what you're feeling. Don't feel like you have to take it on all by yourself. It's okay to seek help. It's okay to go to therapy. We need to stop looking at therapy as this big negative thing, to say it. We have this preconceived notion that if we go to therapy, something's wrong. You can go to therapy even if everything's okay. Just I think it's good to just sometimes, if you have like a whatever the interval is, once a week, once 2 weeks, or once a month, whatever, just to just let it out and discuss those feelings, get have that dialogue, and just talk about whatever it is that you're going through. And also I feel like that's good practice because you're being in tune, you're being true to yourself, being true to your emotions, you're discussing it, you're talking about it. And that in turn, I believe, will help you like I said, as you go through your, your future relationships, marriage, what have you, I think that'll help because you're already getting in that mindset, that mode of expressing and talk about your feelings and not letting it bottle up where, like I said, it can cause more harm than good because you're not finding positive ways to deal with it. And some of those negative methods is it could lead to alcoholism, could lead to drug use, it could lead to physical abuse,
Yeah.
domestic abuse, what have you, if you're in a marriage or in a relationship with someone. So I think being in tune with our emotions, being like knowing that it's okay, knowing that's okay to seek help. You don't have to do it all by yourself. Just to have someone, or you could just have somebody, even if you don't want to talk to the therapist. So just have maybe like your best friend, like just talk to your best friend every so often and just say, hey man, I'm going through this and I need to talk or whatever it is. And to know that you have that safe space, knowing we're discussing this between us. Outside of anything that's I'd say dangerous or cause a harm to yourself, to know that this is a safe space to talk. And like I said, I think really just getting the practice of just expressing and talk about feelings, emotions, whatever you're feeling, feel it. Don't suppress it.
I think that's a valid point because that has been like the topic for especially after Jason book went public, like or viral, when most people start
Right.
talking about it. Because as you said, there are some emotions that we bottle up and we express those emotions maybe in an angry way because we don't deal with the situations that we have been through.
Right.
So it's important that we, understand our emotions and express it and find ways to deal with whatever challenges that we encounter. Because if we don't deal with it, as you said, it will impact us at some other point in our relationships, at our jobs, whatever that we're doing. If we don't really, try to get in tune with what we're dealing with or with ourselves. So that is important as we go forward as men. And, it's okay for us to understand ourselves and be able to express how we feel. So I want to ask this question and then we'll see where we go after this. What was a pivotal moment in your life? What helped you to realize you want to pursue what you're doing right now? Or any other pivotal moment to give you some perspective?
I would say the pivotal moment for me was after high school. I think we talked earlier off wax where we talked about my mom, and she dragged me to the ROTC table to sign up when I was in high school. So fast forward as it came time, for I was getting ready to graduate and applying for colleges, and so I received acceptance a letter from Penn State University, and very excited. They sent us the whole welcome package and everything. Okay, you got accepted. They send the big package because they send you the letter. That means you ain't getting. So they send the big, the big envelope. That's like okay, you're in. So once I saw that, I was like okay. So we're going through. My parents and I going through it, and we get to the financial section, and it was almost like you're trying to buy a Mercedes Benz like every year. It was like my parents were like, nah, can't do can't do it.
Yeah.
So this is really where how instrumental that decision with my mom having me sign for ROTC came in because now so I did all 4 years of junior ROTC, so I have that in the bank. So as going a conventional way of college was out for me at that point. I did not want to stay at home, all summer just doing nothing. That's just not me. Like I if I'm not going to college, I gotta do something. So then the next thing was the Air Force. So I got with a recruiter, met with a recruiter for the whole summer, and then got myself signed up ready to go to the Air Force in that August. I'd say, yeah, that pivotal moment. I think what really precipitated everything was really the beginning of my of high school. Like I said, when my mom, took me, to sign up, and because ever since then, even up till now, currently I have two homes that I've I've used through the VA loan, and that's all because of my military time. And I still, when I talk to my parents, I'm like, hey, thank you for thank you for dragging me to that table because it really changed my life. And I didn't even stay in for 20 odd years. So I only did 4 years, and I'm still reaping benefits to this day. So yeah, I'd say yeah, the biggest, probably the most pivotal moment in my life was that day when I signed up,
Okay.
and I have a lot of thanks to my mom for that.
Yeah, that's great. I know as I said before, the military can give you some foundation. But before I ask my final question, where can the people find you and support you real quick?
Yeah, sure. I mean, very simply, the easiest way, you can just find me on LinkedIn, just put in my name. And I do run a study hall group on Discord. I'm actually doing a session tonight.
Yeah.
We're studying for the CompTIA, the cybersecurity analyst certification. Previously, I was doing sessions for the PMP certification, the project management professional certification. So myself and two others, for at least 2-3 months of just grinding, meeting, and studying together. We all passed, and we all hit above target 3 sections of it. So that's what I'm very, very proud of. And it really motivated me to keep going. So like that's why now we're on this new cert. So yeah, if you're, those listening, if that is something, a goal of yours that you want to study, and you want to have that, when we talk about accountability, we have a group of people that are meeting, that we meet, on Discord, and we all have that same goal of getting the certification. So we meet and study together. So it's a great time. So, but yeah, if you want to get in, best way, easiest way, find me on LinkedIn, and then we could chat and, just go from there. So just look my name up on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Easiest.
I will also put link and somewhere below the video so they can actually go and find you. But what one thing that you would let me say this, what impact do you want to have real quick? What one thing that you'd like to see, or one thing that you'd like to do to make an impact on the world? What impact would you like to have on the world?
Yeah, I think the impact that I like to have is to show that, we as Black people, we're so much more. We're so much more than the stereotypes that what people try to perceive us as, and or society try to perceive us as, and with their stereotypes. And this is no dig to athletes or musicians. Like we're much more than basketball players, football players, or any rappers. And again, I have great respect to those who are doing that. But and kind of ties back into say, like, it's okay, like if you're a bookworm, be a bookworm.
Yeah.
Saying like, look, if you're a nerd, and I think there's a term now for Black nerds, is blurred. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but no, yeah, if that's your thing, then it's okay. And and I think we need more Black leaders in those spaces to lead and kind of champion those areas, and to know that we can do these things too. Like, being smart is cool,
Yeah.
So I think I like to see an impact of that. Like to know that, again, things like reading and educating and helping the next generation coming up. So yeah, I think I would love to see that for us to, we may, what we perceive as a success for us, to get to that point, but not to forget where we came from, and look back to help someone else up, and just keep that going. Just keep that momentum going.
I believe that is important. And I have a lot more questions that I would like to ask, but I think we will have to save that for another interview or another conversation to share, because I want this to be ongoing. I want to continue talking about the things that will make a difference. And that's a valid point. We need to champion the areas that we want to see change in. Because yes, we are not only athletes, so we are not only singers or DJs and stuff like that. We are so much more. And that's what we need to let the world know. We need to share that with the world, especially with the next generation, for them to understand that they are not limited and they have greatness within them to pursue almost anything they want in life.
Correct.
So Dr. Burt-Miller, I want to thank you greatly for being here with us. And I hope that we can have more conversations on how to make a difference. And I know cybersecurity is something that we may not be pursuing a lot. Like, a lot of us are not pursuing that space. I'm not sure, but I think it is something, once the next generation are introduced to it, they will see and realize the benefit, and maybe it's something that they love. So again, thanks for being here, and I appreciate you sharing here on the Black Male Impact. And this is where we create positive change. And again, man, thanks for being here with us. Looking forward for our next conversation. Thank you.